Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Introduction to Psychology Part 1 PSY 312 by Dear Knowledge. So today in this video we will be discussing the last part in the forebrain. We will be discussing the limbic system, the thalamus, and then hypothalamus, and after that we will be discussing the hippocampus, and after that we will be discussing the amygdala. So here you can see in the picture, here is the location of the thalamus, and then here you will find the location of hypothalamus, and in the upcoming pictures you will see what amygdala looks like and what basically hippocampus look like and what are their functions. So here you can see I have included the picture of or you can say a diagram. So here is the location of amygdala, and this is the hippocampus. So this diagram is a bit more clear than the previous diagram, so I've included this in my video too. So here you can see this is the hypothalamus, this is the hippocampus, this is the amygdala, and the rest of the labeling you can read it. The prefrontal lobe, prefrontal cortex, the pituitary gland, and the cerebrum. So we have discussed in our videos about the nervous system, and if you haven't watched that video, I have given the link in the description. You can simply click on that link and you will watch that video. So we have discussed what is nervous system, what basically is nervous system, and in nervous system we have discussed what is central nervous system. And in central nervous system, it have two divisions, which is brain and spinal cord. And we have discussed the brain, and we are currently discussing the forebrain. So if you haven't watched that video, I have given the link in the description. You can check that video. So under the topic of forebrain, it is further divided into cerebrum, limbic system, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Cerebrum is, you can say, a vast topic because it almost covers most of the brain part, and forebrain is the largest area of the brain. So in forebrain we discuss cerebrum, limbic system. In our previous video we have discussed cerebrum, and in cerebrum we have discussed the cerebral cortex, the corpus callosum, and we have also discussed the 4 types of lobes, and we also discussed the cerebral hemisphere in great detail, and I have given the link in description. You can simply click on that link and you can watch that video. In this video, we will be discussing the limbic system, and which include the thalamus and hypothalamus, and then hippocampus and amygdala, which are all included in the forebrain. Then after that, after this video, in our next video, we will be discussing the midbrain. And in midbrain, we will be discussing the reticular formation, and then the rest of the part will be discussed. So let's start with the limbic system. Okay, so the definition of the limbic system is a forebrain structure that form a border around the brainstem and are involved in emotion, motivation, learning, and memory. So basically, beneath the cerebral cortex are several other important forebrain structures, and which are components of the limbic system. And the word limbic means border, because the structure that make up the limbic system form a border of sorts around the brainstem, and in various combinations the limbic structures from complex neural circuits that play roles, or you can say critical role in learning, memory, and emotional control. So, the limbic system is a loosely connected network of structures located roughly along the border between the cerebral cortex and deeper subcortical areas. And limbic also means edge, and it was first discovered by Paul MacLean in 1954. And the limbic is not a well-defined anatomical system with clear boundaries. Indeed, scientists disagree about which structure should be included in the limbic system. But broadly defined, the limbic system include parts of the thalamus and hypothalamus, the hippocampus, and the amygdala and the septum, which you can see in this picture. So the hippocampus make an important contribution to the formation of the memory. But the limbic system is best known for its role in the regulation of emotion. And the limbic system appears to contain distinct pleasure centers. The intriguing possibility first surfaced quite by chance in brain stimulation research with rats, which we will be discussing in our video. So, one interesting aspect of the limbic system is its involvement in pleasurable or rewarding sensation. In the 1950s, neuropsychologist James Olds in 1958 and 1962 discovered that rats could be trained to perform a task such as pressing a bar in order to receive electrical stimulation to certain regions in the limbic system. And in their early work, Olds and other researchers found that rats seemed to prefer brain stimulation to food, even when the rats were extremely hungry. And this finding led researchers to speculate that there might be some sort of pleasure centers located in the limbic system. Since the initial discovery, the existence of such pleasurable centers has been demonstrated in other animals, including rabbits, rats, dogs, monkeys, and even goldfish. And today, it's known that electrical stimulation of many different parts of the brain can produce similar effects. Exactly how electrical stimulation can produce rewarding sensations is still not completely understood. But neural pathways involving the neurotransmitter dopamine seems to play a role, or you can say seems to play a prominent role. So let's briefly consider some of the key limbic system structures and the role they play in behavior. So let's start with the thalamus. As you can see, this part of the brain is actually known as thalamus. The definition include a forebrain structure that processes sensory information for all senses except smell and relays it to the cerebral cortex. So the word thalamus comes from a Greek word meaning inner chamber, and indeed the thalamus is a round mass of cell bodies located within cerebral hemisphere, and the thalamus processes and distributes motor information and sensory information except for smell, going to and from the cerebral cortex. However, thalamus is more than just a sensory relay station. And the thalamus is also thought to be involved in regulating levels of awareness, attention, motivation, and emotional aspect of sensations. So you can say that the thalamus lies above the brainstem and is situated between the two cerebral hemispheres, and it is called the relay station and is primarily concerned with passing of sensory information, again except for smell, from the senses to the cerebral hemisphere. So the pathway is full of cell bodies or somas divided into clusters, and each of these clusters is concerned with relaying specific sensory information. Apart from the relay function, the thalamus has a role in integrating information, and it also controls sleep and wakefulness. Injury to this part of the brain could lead to deafness, blindness, or you can say loss of any other senses. Now let's start with the hypothalamus. This part of the brain region is known as hypothalamus. I've included the definition of the hypothalamus. The definition is a peanut-sized forebrain structure that is part of the limbic system and regulates behavior to survival, such as eating, drinking, and sexual activity. So the word hypo means beneath or below. As its name implies, the hypothalamus is located below the thalamus. Although it is only about the size of a peanut, or you can say size of a pea, the hypothalamus contains many neural connections, and these neural pathways ascend to other forebrain areas and descend to the midbrain or hindbrain and spinal cord. The hypothalamus regulates both division of the autonomic nervous system, increasing and decreasing such functions as heart rate and blood pressure. And it also helps regulate a variety of behaviors related to survival, such as eating, drinking, frequency of sexual activity, fear, and aggression. One area of hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, plays a key role in regulating daily sleep-wake cycles and other rhythms of the body. So the hypothalamus exerts considerable control over the secretion of endocrine hormones by directly influencing the pituitary gland. And the pituitary gland is situated just below the hypothalamus and is attached to the hypothalamus by a short stalk. The hypothalamus produces both neurotransmitters and hormones that directly affect the pituitary gland. Thus, we can say that beneath the thalamus lies the hypothalamus, and it is smaller than the thalamus, about the size of a pea or a peanut, and performs many functions. It is involved in the regulation of basic biological needs and drives, as we have discussed, like eating, drinking, and sexual activities or sexual behavior, and the regulation of basic drives such as fighting, fleeing, feeding, and mating is also controlled by the hypothalamus. In addition, you can say that homeostasis is another function which is performed by the hypothalamus. And homeostasis is the process by which the body maintains the normal levels of temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate. For instance, when it is too hot, we perspire to maintain the normal body temperature. And in addition to this function, the hypothalamus seems to play an important role in emotion and in an individual's response to stress-producing situation, and it controls the production of hormones as it influences the pituitary gland, which is the master endocrine gland. And this control is important in emergency situation when a complex set of physiological responses are required to be made by the body. Now let's talk about the hippocampus. This part of the brain is known as hippocampus. The definition of hippocampus include a curved forebrain structure that is part of the limbic system and is involved in learning and forming new memories. So, the hippocampus is a large structure embedded in temporal lobe in each cerebral hemisphere, and the word hippocampus comes from a Latin word meaning seahorse. So, if you have a vivid imagination, the hippocampus does look a bit like the curved tail of a seahorse. The hippocampus plays an important role in the ability to form new memories of events and information. So damage to hippocampus can cause the inability to learn new things. Now let's talk about the amygdala. The definition include an almond-shaped forebrain structure that is part of the limbic system and is involved in emotion and memory. So here you can see over here, this part of the brain is known as the almond shaped, and this part of the brain, the hippocampus, which is a bit like a seahorse, and this part of the brain is the amygdala. So the amygdala is an almond shaped clump of neuron cell bodies at the base of the temporal lobe, and the amygdala is involved in controlling a variety of emotional response patterns, including fear, anger, and disgust. And studies with animals have shown that electrical stimulation of the amygdala can produce these emotions. In contrast, destruction of the amygdala reduces or disrupts behavior that are linked to fear and rage. For example, when amygdala is destroyed in monkeys, so the monkey lose their fear of neural predators such as snakes, and in human, electrical stimulation of the amygdala produces feeling of fear and apprehension. So the amygdala is also involved in learning and forming new memories, especially those with strong emotional components. I've included a diagram. You can see the transparent view of the brain that shows the hippocampus, the amygdala, the thalamus, and this other wrinkled surface is the cortex. So you can see the thalamus, the amygdala, and the hippocampus. So, yet we have completed the nervous system, we have discussed the central nervous system, we have also discussed the brain, and in brain we have completed the whole, you can say, chapter of the forebrain, in which we have discussed the cerebrum, the limbic system, the thalamus, and hypothalamus, and we have also discussed the amygdala, which was included in forebrain. And this was the end of the video. If you've liked the video, your concept is clear, you can click on the like button, and if not, you can ask us in the comment section that which point or anything that was creating confusion and you didn't get the point. You can ask us questions in the comment section and we'll be there to help you out. If you want to stay notified for the upcoming videos, you can subscribe to our channel, you can click on the bell icon, and you can share the video with your friends and families because sharing is caring. Until then, Allah Hafiz.